And the Edge represents a huge market opportunity, tier one venues. The middle prize and outdoor urban are all in play, but they all have unique cycles and market drivers. So where are we placing our bets and what problems need to be solved and who plays a role in solving them on this TI Now panel at Mobile World Congress 2016, brought to you by Solid, our Ken Sandfeld, president at Solid Americas, Ray LaChance, president and CEO at Zenfi, Nick Marshall, research director at ABI Research, and on the end is Chris Yeager, managing director at BAI Communications. And gentlemen, welcome to the segment.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here. Chris, I'm going to start with you. Clearly a perfect storm in a transit system all over the world for edge densification technologies, really the signal existing below ground, but is there an opportunity for that signal to pop up really above ground?
Yes, there is, Abe, and if we just go back, in New York City and in the Toronto subways, we've built high-capacity trunk fibre networks throughout both cities along the subway routes. Then into the stations themselves, we've built high-capacity, overbuilt fibre to the edge of the platforms, edge of the mezzanines, edge of the ingress and egress. So that in itself, whilst it's used for the coverage within the subway network for the cellular and the Wi-Fi, it gives a unique opportunity to take that fibre, take that power that's already there, and take that real estate which is upstairs, which is the entrances, it's the emergency ducts, it's the grates on the street levels, and to come up with a solution for either small cell or DAS node deployment at a cost much lower than if you had to do that from a greenfield. So the fibre's there, the power's there, the real estate's there.
I think that's exactly right. And first, I want to congratulate Chris and the great job they've done with transit in New York. They're clearly leaders in this concept of C-RAN, starting with consolidation of the radio access network, and ultimately it's going to morph towards a cloud model. But the model they've built to serve indoor, effectively underground stations is no different than the fiber infrastructure and the radio infrastructure to support the sub-basement of a building all the way up to the rooftop, or to support outdoor DAS or small cell locations. So that infrastructure for consolidating radio assets, reaching out and touching antenna locations on a front haul network is reusable for every application in support of mobile densification, whether it's carrier Wi-Fi, remote radio head, small cell, or DAS node. It's that same repeatable infrastructure that Chris has been building.
Ken, if you could briefly describe really what the middle prize is and how it fits into the industry at large, but really also how various verticals apply to the middle prize, which ones are viable and which ones are not viable.
Yeah, so the middle prize, we define it as the 100 to 500,000 square foot facilities, buildings that are currently not covered due to various reasons, mostly due to the fact that the carriers don't want to necessarily supply signal source to those facilities, or the technology, whether it be DAS or small cell, just isn't fitting properly. So the venues that we're talking about are the healthcare and hospitality, venues where you can quantify the number of users and the types of users and the value of those users. Those are going to be projects that are going to be triggered first in the middle prize. They're the higher value projects. The ones that are going to be a little bit harder are going to be your MDU, multi-tenant, high-rise residential, where it's much harder to quantify and there's much lower total number of users, and it's harder to quantify for the operator. Those are going to be a little bit slower, and that's typically the case anyways. But the middle prize will essentially roll out that way.
Chris, we've talked previously about other stakeholders playing a role in funding edge densification projects, so really the carriers taken that brunt over the last several years. Is it because there's no immediate return on investment for these stakeholders, maybe a VAR or a third-party owner? Is that why there's hesitation or reticence there?
We need to find momentum around some of these venues, and that's what happened around the New York City subway. What we've built there now is it's a rather expensive network, it's fair to say, but it has to be. It has to be highly ruggedized, it's got to be very high quality, very high performance, and it's got to last 30 years. Maintenance issues are a major factor. We don't want to be doing any extra maintenance than we have to, and so There we have a situation where a higher cost network is being justified by the huge numbers of people that go through that subway every day. Nearly 6 million a day now. So there's a justification there in terms of traffic flow through those stations. In other cases, you might find that justification on a certain type of network doesn't exist at that time, and someone needs to be a little bit more visionary about what's coming down the pipe.
Nick, I want to talk about, again, a business model for maybe small cell as a service or DAS as a service, and how that relates, again, back to the middle price.
Yep. I think the middle price is very real. If we look at some of the US government statistics on the building stock in the US, there are 335,000 buildings with a floor area greater than 50,000 square feet. That's 44 billion square feet available as a middle price, and by our estimates, less than 6% of that is penetrated, less than 6%. So it's a huge opportunity. This is a middle price. This is the opportunity.
Ken, I want to talk to you about really industries addressing edge densification opportunities, one location at a time. Is that still the sort of modus operandi?
It currently still is, unfortunately. With the middle price, though, that's going to change. With the core network pushing closer to the edge, serving the edge done from those locations will allow us to cover those from a pooled resource. So it absolutely is going to change. Right now, it's still done that way, though. I mean, we're still serving those locations from a central office further away for those carrier resources. So as that virtual core gets pushed out to the edge, we're going to be able to cover those with pooled resources, and we're going to be able to route those resources to where we need to much more efficiently, because we're going to be able to communicate directly with the core, and that's really what's required.
Yeah. So one of the follow-ons I think we should talk about here is that with these small venues and the small office buildings, residential buildings, the carriers can't make a business case to deploy their gear and their backhaul and their OpEx, CapEx to make those sites work. So there's a great business opportunity for players in this middle price to aggregate portfolios of these buildings and gain economies of scale. And it's all about taking the cost out of the model. It's incumbent on us to figure out how to lower the overall CapEx, OpEx, so we can serve those communities. And it's going to happen through the economies of scale. And again, this move towards, I've said it many times, this move towards centralized RAN, ultimately evolving to cloud RAN. That's the end game here. I think that's really going to be the solution.
The commercial issues are the other challenge here. Because to have a separate commercial agreement for every one of these tens of thousands middle prizes is going to make life tough. So we need to be more innovative in our commercial approach to this business.
I think you apply technology to any edge densification process, and we said this at the top of the program, you want to make it repeatable. I think we've touched on that a little bit in this video, but also in the series of videos we've done here at Mobile World Congress 2016. Again, I want to thank all of you for being with us, and again, teeing up this conversation. We just scratched the surface, of course, but we'll be talking about it in the future, so thank you.
Great,
Yeah.
thanks.
Thank you.